units. I see 3 units that are behind it out my window right now, and the driver just desperate there to get away as much as he can.
It seems like what precipitated this latest desperate move is when that second CHP, that black and white unit, started to get out of the lane and looked like he was going to pull up almost alongside the suspect, and that's when he just took off.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to go.
What is his speed, Gil?
He's going.
Yeah, I was just brought up our speedometer here. I'll try to bring that up for you once we catch up. Too many trees in the way, but we're going to catch up to him. He's coming up to Ventura Boulevard. He's going to be hard on the brakes here, and we'll see which direction. Looks like he was wanting to go.
Eastbound.
Wasn't quite sure.
No, he's going westbound.
He's going west. He went all the way out like that. Wow.
So here he goes westbound. Behind this building, we'll pick it up again.
Now he's slowed down again.
Brought in our speedometer so you can get an idea of the speed the driver's driving. Right now, not too bad, but he'll ramp it up, or she'll ramp it up here very quickly whenever possible. We'll bring that down for now, but you can see the pursuit continuing here westbound on Ventura Boulevard. Oh boy, wrong side of the road once again. LAPD blocking that intersection there. You see that unit there holding that traffic, and he's going to continue under the 405 freeway, I should say, and look at what he's got ahead of him. There he goes, wrong side of the road, on the other side of the westbound side of the 405, and here he goes onto the freeway. It looks like that looks like the on-ramp to the 405. It's going to be southbound 405, and he's going to be going through up towards the through the Sepulveda Pass.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that looks like it's moving at really good speed, especially when you consider what the surface streets look like.
Yes, it looks like the freeway is definitely in this direction. The southbound lanes are wide open. I would say light to medium traffic right now on the 405.
What we're going to do here in just a moment, as he picks up speed above 80 miles an hour, is switch over to News Chopper 4 Alpha, which will allow Gil Levis in Bravo to pick up some additional fuel, and then come back and join us again as we continue to watch this. And we're now going southbound on the 405 freeway.
Ileana, are you with us yet?
Hey guys, yeah, we're just coming overhead right now. The pursuit is traveling on the southbound 405 freeway. He's just on the other side of this hill, so we need to come on the other side to get on it, but we will be on it momentarily. He just picked up the 405 there from the 101 freeway, so we just need to pick up eyes on him one more time. We had lost him there behind that hill, but we should have him here momentarily.
Yeah, he'll be coming up into the West LA area or Brentwood area, and
there we go. We have one of the
or the LAPD following us
LAPD cars.
Yeah, there's the LAPD car, so I'm just going to stick with him here for a moment while we
the right side wall is going to come up pretty quick here as he moves back into traffic.
And now to the carpool lane.
So if you're just joining us at 5:40 p.m. here on Fox 11, Alex Michelson, Christine Devine, Kevin Takumi, we are watching a reckless driving suspect through the west side of Los Angeles. This is now officially a pursuit. The LAPD and my guess is CHP will be involved with this as well, pursuing this suspect who has been driving recklessly. We've seen it live on the air, driving against traffic, speeding, approaching 100 miles an hour on the freeway, going from lane to lane without a lot of regard for traffic laws or regard for other drivers' safety. This is now moving its way through the west side and approaching the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles.
You know, we're already getting down past Sunset Boulevard now. We've got Santa Monica Boulevard coming up. The traffic's still fairly light, but I mean, looking ahead though, traffic does start to slow down at the 10 freeway as you kind of get into the Culver City area.
I'm looking at my map here, Kevin, where you see, you know, where there's traffic and it's showing south of that 10 freeway. It is red. It's a red zone there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Will that carpool lane be wide enough open that the car can continue on? Will that driver try to get off on one of the other freeways? But look at these speeds here. Very scary. As you said, Kevin, where are we now? Because we're getting close to that 10, right?
We're just passing Wilshire, coming up on Santa Monica Boulevard, and then we're going to have that 10 split coming up here. He's in the right lanes there, and he's in those right lanes there, making look like he might be able to go. There's a CHP unit that he just passed by, so we're going to see if that CHP unit comes up. But still, speed that he's moving here very fast, but coming up. You know, like you were saying, there's a lot of red coming up on the freeways here, and even the carpool lane does bog down. So it depends. We'll see if he tries to use the right shoulder. There isn't much left shoulder there with the carpool lane, but still back and forth here. We're coming up on the 10 freeway, so we'll see which way he's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, this car showing a lot of ability to speed as it weaves in and out of traffic, now approaching over 90 miles an hour, approaching 100 miles an hour once again, weaving through lanes on the 405 freeway heading south. So this is towards the Culver City area. If he stays on this freeway, he'll head towards the airport. Marina Del Rey comes first.
We're just passing Olympic. There's a CHP unit that's starting to close in, trying to catch up to him here. And we're past the 10 split. So now we're moving southbound here, continuing on the 405 freeway. And there is a lot of traffic. You can see it's starting to get heavier here as we move southbound, both in that carpool lane. So this driver is using weaving back and forth, all lanes, even the right shoulder here. You've got the couple of merges coming up. So there's going to be a lot. Everything's going to really come to a stop here.
Whoa. That guy is caught in the middle of traffic, driving now on the shoulder. I mean, like I said, looking at my map, it is red from here on for a while. So interesting to see where this driver thinks he's going to go.
He might use the 90 to try to go towards the marina.
If he can get that far. I mean, it's back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper, according to my red zone here.
He doesn't seem to care. Look at this guy. I mean, we were really close to an accident there a few moments ago.
Yeah, he's really moving here using that right shoulder, and you can see traffic down. He's doing like 70 miles an hour, up to 70 miles an hour, and the traffic alongside is only doing like 35 or less and stop and go.
So it is now officially, Kevin, this is now officially a CHP pursuit. You do see a cruiser there at the bottom of your screen a second ago. You see another cruiser there. You wonder if they're going to start to take any sort of measures or just try to stay behind them. I mean, obviously, doing something like a pit maneuver in the freeway would be extremely dangerous and not something. Now
he just coming up on another cruiser, and then it now really taken off.
So far, those cruisers have sort of left him. I mean, Kevin, the cruisers really don't have a lot of options when somebody's going 70 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour on a...
Near the LAX airspace here shortly as he continues southbound 405. Not as fast as he was before, though, just because the traffic in the general area is relatively slow compared to how fast he's been going. But we've seen that when he wants to go fast, he just uses that right shoulder to get by.
And so we believe that this driver may also be intoxicated, you were saying earlier.
Yeah, so initially they said that he was pulled over for erratic driving. That's when he actually did pull over. He handed his driver's license with his name and address over to the CHP officer from the West San Fernando Valley Division who had pulled him over. But that is when he took off and the pursuit was on. Argyle Lavis and News Chopper was the first news helicopter overhead, and he followed it until we took over in the Sepulveda Pass. But it was at that point that I also heard the LAPD officers behind the vehicle calling him a driver under the influence. So it could be that it is because of that he was driving erratically. But boy, have we witnessed some erratic driving, very fast moving, extremely dangerous, not only on surface streets but also on the freeway.
Ileana, what is this?
Yeah, it looks like he may be exiting. We hear it's the Inglewood Avenue exit for the southbound 405 freeway. He has slowed down his speed significantly. This last CHP officer who was clocking his speed said he was going about 60 miles an hour, which is significantly less than the 100 miles an hour that we saw him going earlier. So he is in fact on Inglewood Boulevard, I believe is what it is. He's in the #1 lane, and you can see speeds significantly slower now, southbound on Inglewood Inglewood, coming away from the 405 freeway. And those CHP units, we saw them there on the 405. I don't know if they had enough time to exit off of Inglewood Boulevard. So we'll see here if they get behind him or if they miss the exit and are going to have to come around. But what we are hearing is the scanner traffic from the airship overhead. So we know that the airship still has eyes on this vehicle. And if you are just joining our coverage, this is actually a pursuit that started about 45 minutes ago, maybe a little bit more than that, in the San Fernando Valley, when CHP officers from the West San Fernando Valley Division tried to pull over this gray Ford Fiesta. The driver stopped. He handed his ID over to the officer. The officer had initially pulled him over for erratic driving, but at that point, the driver took off, and the pursuit continued on surface streets and then eventually got onto the freeway. He got onto the southbound 405 freeway, made his way through the Sepulveda Pass, where the CHP joined in the mix. So this is a pursuit that has been both from the LAPD as well as the California Highway Patrol. At this point, I believe it is still going to be CHP because they were the units that were closest behind him, but the airship is LAPD. It's unclear how many people are in the vehicle at this point, but you can see that compared to the speeds that we've seen him at before, which it was easily 100 miles an hour or more, he really has slowed down his speed. He's now in what could be considered a residential area, but considering that this is not where the pursuit began, we don't know if this is where it will come to an end. Usually suspects tend to return to an area that is familiar to them, and considering that this started in the San Fernando Valley, he is a long ways from home, but currently in the Lawndale area as the pursuit continues here at slow speeds. And let's see, he may be coming to a slight stop here. He may be stopping. This is actually the first time we've seen him stop. So he's very close to the Alondra Golf Course and the 405 freeway.
This is also, Eliana, the first time we've seen this individual in a residential area.
Yeah, and a complete stop here. No units that I can see directly behind him. So he's basically on his own, but yet again, taking right off. And again, this is going to be very close to the Alondra Golf Course. He's just off the 405 freeway, but in this residential street, really slowed down his pace compared to what we saw earlier. And it looks like perhaps he's, trying to look for a place to come to a stop and either abandon the vehicle or just wait for officers. We've seen that happen before, where a suspect doesn't have anyone behind him, but they've simply had enough and decided to give up. And let's see what he does here. It looks like he's maybe trying a U-turn or go into this shopping area, and it looks like he is in fact heading into the shopping area for the DXL men's outlet.
Yeah.
Eliana, it's Carolyn Johnson joining Chuck now. Any sign of any other officers behind this vehicle at this point? I mean, I know he's parked now, but has anyone caught up with this?
Yeah, hello, Carolyn. At this point, we actually don't see any units anywhere nearby. We see that one man that walked out of the cigarette shop, but we don't believe that he's in any way connected to any of this. He's not addressing the suspect in any way. He's still just completely at a stop there in that parking spot. Here's the first units rolling up. So here they are. The first unit is going to be a, oh, there we go. It's going to be 2 CHP units, and as soon as he sees them, he is back off, making his way through the business complex and heading back out onto Manhattan, I believe, Manhattan Beach Boulevard.
And there goes the speed again.
Yeah, we just want to let our viewers know that you're watching the NBC4 News at 6 o'clock as we continue following this pursuit. Eliana, it was strange. It was almost as if he needed a break and decided he'd just pull in and rest for a couple of seconds and then take off again, or someone who was trying to get their bearings, trying to figure out exactly where they are.
Yeah, he basically just came to a stop there for what seemed like almost a minute, but now he's on the wrong side of the road. And so this could be very dangerous because there could be cars coming in the opposite direction, not anticipating that this guy is coming at them at full speed. And he did stop there momentarily, and it looks like he may be trying to stop again, heading into another business complex. But you saw those CHP units. They're not far away, so they have tabs on his location. The airship is still overhead. Looks like this is going to be the parking lot for the Boston Market, and he is waiting there, waiting to get out onto the street. And there he goes, making that left-hand turn. I'll get you the street here in a moment. I believe this will, in fact, still be Redondo Beach Boulevard, very close to the 405 freeway. Prairie Avenue is going to be another nearby cross street, and the pursuit continues here in the Lawndale area.
And all of this may have something to do with the fact that the officers believe that this individual may be intoxicated, which would account for at least some of this.
Yeah, initially he was wanted for erratic driving, and then as the pursuit continued, we did hear them add that intoxicated driver information to the mix. So it seems like they believe that erratic driving may be associated with the driver being under the influence in one way or another. He has been driving very erratically at high speeds, running red lights, really making his own way on the road. Any red light or stop sign does not apply to this person. He is just simply trying to get away.
Chuck, what's so unusual about this, Eliana described how he was originally pulled over for erratic driving and the officers had his driver's license in their hand and then he took off. So they know exactly who they're dealing with.
Totally bizarre. Totally bizarre. Yeah, there's a lot of very interesting things about this pursuit. One of the things is just how long this has lasted and how seemingly without any kind of pattern this pursuit has taken on a life of its own.
Well,
many times, you know, they head back to an area they're familiar with or where it started, but not this one. It's just all over the place.
And he's doing what you noted before, Chuck. He's leaving a vast amount of space.
They're going to pull off this pursuit. Now, because we know that information about the driver's license, the fact they know his name, they know where he lives. As far as we know, the car is not stolen. They are going to pull off at some point coming up soon and just let this guy continue on his way. They can wait for him back at home. Again, they know where he lives.
Oh.
Yeah, and it looks like the car behind him actually has his blinker on to set up for the left turn. So perhaps he can't tell why this guy hasn't moved, but there are cars even in front of the suspect vehicle, but they're all kind of just working their way around him because he's not moving. So we'll see if that vehicle there directly behind him decides to move. There's a fire truck coming by, completely unrelated to any of this. He just happens to be coming through the area.
They could be blocking it off, no?
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to be waiting there at the light. But Saro just heard over the helicopter police scanner that they're actually trying to see if Hawthorne PD will get involved, Torrance PD, since this is now in their jurisdiction. Usually when a pursuit leaves that agency's jurisdiction, they'll usually try to hand it over to the police agency involved or who is in charge of that particular territory. But it looks like he may be getting back onto the freeway, and in which case it's going to be CH with him in just a moment. Yeah, it looks like he may be exiting. This is going to be perhaps his chance to get onto the 110, so we'll see if that's what he decides to do. But again, very close to the 405 and the 110, but this does appear to be the transition for the 110, so we'll see if he goes north or south.
It was such an interesting moment just a short time ago, around the top of the hour, when this driver pulled into that strip mall area in Lawndale. It appeared that it was coming to an end at that point, and we saw law enforcement